it's funny that you should say that, but the punter doesn't realise how good this guy is, because no matter who gets he's not that good, he's not that good. Don't get carried away.
And he plays the bass as well. And he also knows he's very lovely to his family because he never goes home. I think what we're going to do now, we'll have a monologue.
I'll tell of the Battle of Hastings, as happened in days long gone by, when Duke William became King of England, and Harold got shot in the eye. It was this way. One day in October, the Duke, who were always tough, having no battles on at the moment, had give his lads the day off. They'd all taken boats to go fishing, when some chap in Conquerors here said, let's go and put breeze up Saxon. Said Bill, by gum, that's an idea. So, turning around to his soldiers, he lifted his big Norman voice, saying, hands up, who's coming to England? That was swank because they had no choice. They started away about tea time, and the sea was so calm and so still. As at 10:15 the next morning, they arrived at a place called Bexhill. King Harold rode up as they landed, his face full of venom and hate, and he said, if you've come for regatta, you've got here just 6 weeks too late. At this the Duke rose, cool but haughty, and said, let's have none of your cheek, and you best have your throne reupholstered. I'll be wanting to use it next week. When Harold heard this here defiance, with rage he turned purple and blue, and shouted some rude words in Saxon, to which William answered, and you! It was a beautiful day for a battle. The Normans set off with a will, and when both sides was duly assembled, they tossed up the top of the hill. King Harold, he won the advantage. On the hilltop he took up his stand, with his knaves and his guards all around him, on his horse, with his horse in his hand. The Normans had naught in their favour, their chance of a victory seemed small, for the slope of the field were against them, and wind in their faces. The kick-off was sharp at 2:30, and as soon as the whistle had went, both sides started banging each other till swineherds could hear them in Kent. The Saxons had best line of forwards, well armed both with buckler and sword, but Normans had best combination. So when half-time came, neither had scored. So the Duke called his cohorts together and said, let's pretend that we're beat. And when we get Saxons on level, we'll cut off their means of resistance. So they ran, and the Saxons ran after, just exactly as William had planned, leaving Harold alone on the hilltop. On his horse, with his horse in his hand. Then the Duke, who had seen what had happened, a bow and an arrow he drew. He went right up to Harold and shot him. He were offside, but what could they do? Then the Normans turned round in their fury and gave back both parry and thrust. Till the fighting were over by shouting, and you couldn't see Saxons for dust. And after the battle was over, they found Harold so stately and grand, sitting there with his eye full of arrow. On his horse, with his horse, with his hands. I'll tell you a seafaring story of a lad who won honour and fame with Nelson at Battle of Trafalgar. Yo, Monologues! That was his name. He was one of the crew of the Victory. His job when the battle begun was to take cannonballs out at basket and shove 'em up
Nelson's bum!
One day, him and Nelson were boxing the compass, as sailor lads do, when Hardy comes up with spyglass and pointing says, "Here, take a screw." They looked to where Hardy were pointing and saw lots of ships in a row. Joe says abrupt like but respectful, "Horatio lad, yon's the foe." "What say we attack 'em," says Nelson. Joe said, "Nay lad, not today." And Hardy said, "Aye, well, let's toss up." And Horatio answered, "Okay." They tossed, it were heads for the tacky and tails for t'other way about. Joe lent 'em his two-headed penny, so the ants were never in doubt. When penny came down head side upwards, they were in for a do, it were plain. Joe murmured, "Shiver me timbers," and Nelson kissed Hardy again. And then, taking flags out of locker, they strung out a message on high. It were all about England at duty. Crew thought they was hung up to dry. They got the guns ready for action, and that gave them trouble enough. For they hadn't been fired all summer, and Scotch was bunged up with fluff. Joe's cannon, it weren't half a corker, the cannonballs went 3 foot round. And they wasn't no toy balloons neither, for they weighed close on 65 pounds. Joe, selecting 2 of the largest, was going to load double for luck, when a hot shot came in through porthole, and gunpowder barrel got struck. Bang! 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 There weren't half an explosion. The gun crew was filled with alarmers out of the porthole went Joseph, with cannonball underneath him. At that moment, up came the boatswain. He said, "Where's Joe?" Gunner replied, "He's taken 2 cannonballs with him and gone for breather outside." "Do you think he'll be long?" says the boatswain. The gunner replied, "If as how he comes back as quick as he left us, he should be here any time now." And all this time, Joe, treading water, was trying his hardest to float. He shouted through turmoil at battle, "Tell someone to lower a boat." He'd come to the top for assistance, then down to the bottom he'd go. This up and down kind of existence made everyone laugh, except Joe. At last he could stand it no longer, and next time he came to the top he said, "If you don't come and save me, I'll let these here cannonballs drop." Because Nelson had finished what saved him, and he said Joe deserved the VC. But finally he had one handy, he'd give him an egg for his tea. Boom, boom. Hardy? Aye, aye, sir. Hold on, that's not what I dictated to the signals officer. What's the meaning of this? Sorry, sir. England expects every person to do his duty regardless of race, gender, sexual orientation, religious persuasion or disability. What gobbledygook is this? Our brought-in policy, I'm afraid, sir. We're an equal opportunities employer now. We've had the devil's own job getting England past the censors lest it be considered racist. Gadzooks, Hardy. Hand me my pipe and tobacco. Sorry, sir. All naval vessels have been designated smoke-free smoking. In that case, break open the rum ration. Let's splice the main brace to steal the men before battle. The rum ration has been abolished, Admiral. It's part of the government's policy on binge drinking. Good heavens, Hardy. I suppose we'd better get on with it. Full speed ahead. I think you'll find there's a 4-knot speed limit in this stretch. Damn it, man, we're on the eve of the greatest sea battle in history. We must advance with all dispatch. Report from the crow's nest, please. That won't be possible, sir. What? Health and safety have closed. Health and safety have closed the crow's nest, sir. No harness. And they said the rope ladder doesn't meet regulations. They won't let anyone up there until proper scaffolding has been put in. Then get me the ship's carpenter without delay, Hardy. He's busy knocking up a wheelchair access to the forecastle. chair. I've never heard of anything so absurd. Health and safety again, sir. We have to provide a barrier-free environment for the differently abled. Differently abled? I've only got one arm and one eye, and I refuse even to hear mention of the word. I didn't rise to the rank of admiral by playing the disability card. Actually, sir, you did. The Royal Navy is underrepresented in the areas of visual impairment and deficiency. Whatever next, give me full sail, the salt spray beckons. A couple of problems there too, sir. Health and safety won't let the crew up the rigging without crash helmets. And they don't want anyone breathing in too much salt. Haven't you seen the adverts? I've never heard of such infamy. Break out the cannon and tell the men to stand by to engage the enemy. The men are a bit worried about shooting at anyone, actually. What? This is mutiny. It's not that, sir. It's just that they're afraid of being charged with murder if they kill anybody. There's a couple of legal aid lawyers on board watching everyone like hawks. Then how are we to sink the Frenchies and the Spanish? Well, actually, sir, we're not. We're not? Well, no, sir. The Frenchies and the Spanish are our European partners now. According to the common fisheries policy, we shouldn't even be in these stretches. Get hit with a claim for compensation. But you must hate the French as you hate the devil. I wouldn't let the ship's diversity coordinator hear you saying that. You'll be up on the disciplinary. You must consider every man an enemy who speaks ill of your king. Well, not anymore, sir. We must be inclusive in this multicultural age. Now, put on your Kevlar vest. It's the rule. Don't tell me! Health and safety. Whatever happened to rum, sodomy and the lash? Well, I explain, sir. Rum is off the menu, and there's a ban on corporal punishment. Well, what about sodomy? I believe it's being encouraged, sir. In that case, kiss me, Hardy.
I think what we're going to do now, we'll have a monologue.
I'll tell you an old-fashioned story. As grandfather used to relate of a joiner and building contractor. His name it was Sam Oldthwaite. In a shop on the banks of the Irwell, old Sam used to follow his trade in a place you'll have heard of called Bury. You know where black puddings is made. One day Sam were filling a knot hole with putty when in through the door came an old fella, fair reed the whiskers. An old chap said, "Good morning, I'm Noah." Sam asked Noah what was his business. An old fella went on to remark that not liking the look of the weather, he was thinking of building an ark. He'd gotten the wood for the bulwarks and all t'other shipbuilding junk, but wanted some nice bird's eye maple to panel the walls of his bunk. Now maple was Sam's monopoly, which means it were all his to cut, and nobody else hadn't got none, so we asked Noah 3 halfpence a foot. "I ain't need too much," replied Noah. "A penny a foot's more the mark. A penny a foot, and when rain comes, I'll give thee a ride in me ark." But now there would budget bargain. The whole daft thing were kind of a jump. So Sam put his tongue out at Noah, and Noah made long bacon at Sam. In wrath and ill feeling they parted, not knowing when they'd meet again. And Sam had forgot all about it. Till one day it started to rain. It rained and it rained for a fortnight, and it flooded the whole countryside. It rained and it kept on raining. Till Irwell were 50 miles wide. The houses were soon underwater, and folk to the roof had to climb. They said 'twas the rottenest summer that Bury had had for some time. The rain showed no sign of abating, and water rose hour by hour, till the only dry land were at Blackpool. And that was on top of the tower. So Sam started
started swimming to Blackpool. It took him best part of a week, and his clothes was wet through when he got there, and his boots was beginning to leak. He stood to his watch tinning water on Tower Top just before dark, when who should come sailing toward him but old Noah steering his ark. They stared at each other in silence till Ark were alongside old Butt. And Noah said, "Aye, now what price your maple?" And Sam answered, "Yes." "Nay, I'll make thee an offer, same as I did t'other day. A penny a foot at free ride. Now, come on, lad, what does it say?"
Bollocks.
3 a foot came the answer, so Noah his sail had to hoist. And he sailed off again in our dudgeon, while Sam stood determined.
Hoist.
Noah cruised around flying his pigeons till 40 a day off the wit. And on his way back passing Blackpool, he saw old Sam standing there yet. His chin just stuck out the water. Such a comical figure he cut, and Noah said, "Aye, now what price your maple?" And Sam answered, said, "No, you best take me offer. It's last time I'll be here about." And if water comes half an inch higher, I'll happen half maple for the house.
Right.
3 apples of food it'll cost you. And as for me, Sam said, "Don't fret. The sky took a turn since this morning. I think it looks right up, yes. Bam! Excuse me, somebody was talking about the new licensing laws. I don't know if you're aware of this, but there's been a complete change in the law. Up till now, strictly speaking, we were only supposed to have no more than 2 musicians playing at any time. I thought it was cruel when somebody said, "Well, that leaves the old castle band out of it, that's all right." But now I have to tell you, quite seriously, the publican is supposed to have a proper licence to have music and all that stuff, which means he's got to go to the magistrates and all that bit, and they're a bit strict about it. And apparently the sentence for all of us, all the musicians, can be like £20,000 or so many years in jail, quite seriously, except at the very last minute they had a change of heart. So if a policeman walks through the door, Steve here has got to get up on the table and start Morris dancing, because apparently then it's all right. As long as we're accompanying Morris dancers, it's all right. You can do whatever you like. So Steve, bring your bells and your tambourine and all that stuff, and be prepared to jump up on the table quick. It is. John, is it right or is it right? I'm afraid it is right. It occurred on the evening before Waterloo, and troops was lined up on parade, and Sergeant inspected 'em. He was a terror, of whom every man was afraid, all excepting one man who was in front rank, a man by the name of Sam Small, and him and Sergeant was both daggers drawn. They thought nought of each other at all. As Sergeant walked past, he was swinging his arm, and he happened to brush against Sam, and knocking his musket clean out of his hand, it fell to the ground with a slam. "Pick it up," says the Sergeant, abrupt like but cool. But Sam, with a shake of his head, said, "Seeing as thou knocked it out of me hand, perhaps thou pick the thing up instead." "Sam, pick up thy musket," Sergeant exclaimed with a roar. Sam said, "Thou knocked it down. Right then, I'll pick it up, or it stays where it is on the floor." The sound of our words very soon reached the ears of an ossifer, Lieutenant Bird. And he says to the Sergeant, "Now what's all this here?" And Sergeant told what had occurred. Sam, pick up thy musket," Lieutenant exclaimed with some heat. Sam said he knocked it down, right then he'll pick it up, or it stays where it is at me feet. It caused quite a stir when the captain arrived to find out the cause of the trouble, and every man there, all excepting old Sam, was full of excitement and bubble. Sam, pick up thy musket," said Captain, "for strictness renowned." Sam said he knocked it down, right then he'll pick it up, or it stays where it is on the ground. The same thing occurred when Major and Colonel both tried to get Sam to see sense, but when old Duke of Wellington came into view, well, the excitement was tense. Up rode the Duke on his lovely white horse. To find out the cause of bother. And he looked at the musket, and then he told Sam, and he talked to old Sam like a brother. Sam, pick up thy musket. The Duke said, as quiet as could be. Sam, pick up thy musket. Come on, lad, just to please me. All right, Duke said Sam. Just for thee I'll oblige, and to show thee I meant no offence. So Sam picked it up. Greatly, lad, says the Duke. Right-o, boys, let battle commence. Bye-bye.